Okay, what we have here is horsenettle. It's a perennial broadleaf weed that you find in lots of pastures. It's very hard to control because it has pretty strong rhizome development. It grows mostly, well, only in the summertime, so it's a warm season type of plant. The flowers on this plant are fairly characteristic with the yellow stamens and the lavender petals. And then as that flower matures and the seeds begin to form, it has a very characteristic fruit that looks like a very small tomato. In fact, this plant is a relative of the nightshade family, which is tomatoes in the nightshade family. Another characteristic of this plant that's pretty obvious are these short, we call them thorns, but they're really trichomes. They're very sharp, prickly. They're very rough on the human hands, but occasionally animals will eat the leaves of this plant, but rarely will they consume it such that they control it. The leaves are usually alternate on the stem. In other words, you have one on one side and then the next leaf up is on the opposite side of the stem.
How do we control it in a pasture?
Okay, really good control of this plant is usually with some type of herbicide. Occasionally, frequent mowing will keep it somewhat under control, but it rarely kills it or eliminates it because the plant has those strong rhizomes that allows it to tolerate quite frequent defoliation. Some animals, goats, will take some of the leaves off. Even cattle will eat the leaves off if they're stocked at a very heavy density, but almost rarely do they actually kill the plant. Pigweed plant, spiny amaranth. It's a summer annual plant. Normally you find it in heavy use areas where there's not much competition, but not always, as you see in this case here. This plant, very characteristic reddish stems. Leaves are alternate on the stem. There are spines all along the stem that up to nearly a ½ inch long, but at least 3/8 of an inch long. Very, very sticky and prickly. Has a fairly strong little taproot, but no rhizomes and no stolons. Very undesirable in pastures, although when it's less than 6 or 8 inches tall, animals will consume it if the stocking density is such that forces them to eat it. How would you control spiny amaranth in a pasture? Well, there's many herbicides, fairly easy to control if it's younger than 12 to 15 inches tall. Immature stage, fairly easy to control. Mowing will kind of hold it at bay, but it doesn't really kill the plant unless you just continuously mow frequently, fairly short. Again, animals, heavy stock density sometimes can control it when it's less than 6 or 8 inches tall. But herbicides, mowing, or very heavy, frequent grazing will help control it.